Hi everyone and welcome to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us for the Noontime Friday show as we kick your weekend off early here on a gorgeous Friday afternoon. We're going to start with former state rep, former Deputy Secretary of State, now heads up Stages of Freedom, Ray Rickman for his big view.
Kate, I thank you. You know, every week is a struggle. And this week, of course, I'm supposed to talk about Donald Trump being unpatriotic and not loving America and what's happened to the Republicans, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to talk about Donald Trump, Interior's plan for softening wildlife shield. Headline, New York Times, this morning. Unbelievable. This administration is messing with the environment at a time in which, of course, global warming is causing us great heat waves and fires in California and in the West that are at an unbelievable level, seriously. And there's no deniability. And of course, we have to worry about the wildlife in this country. Now, I live on the top of College Hill, on the very crest. It's like the coolest little piece of land. Underneath my house is a little creek. It's only like 4 feet wide. The people who used to live in my house said when they were kids, they got in the creek once. It runs underneath, it's really deep. It runs underneath the basement, and you can actually get in it. We have a place, but you've got to be 4 or 5 years old. And even if I could get in it, I'm not brave enough. But I'm sharing that with you because here's this little creek in top of College Hill running down towards Brown University. No one would think it's there. No one. And every once in a while, a little animal, a squirrel or something, pokes up out of that special little graded area underneath the front of my house, and you know that there's wildlife underneath my basement. Now, in the last 2 weeks, we've had jackrabbits and rabbits. There's a difference between rabbits and jackrabbits, in case you don't know. And they're running all over College Hill. In the morning, if I leave at 5:30, which I do about 1 day a week, that's not true. Every Saturday and Sunday, I leave at 5:30. And I walk to a certain place and I write from 5:30 to 7 every Saturday and Sunday morning. Then I go to work from 7 to 8, and then I go home, and I come back to Stages of Freedom in the afternoon. But in the morning, I keep a log. I keep a little journal. And on Saturday, I average 7 jackrabbits, and on Sunday, I average 10. Don't tell me what that's about. But this has been going on for about 3 months. It's fabulous wildlife. So you would say they're coming back. But it is so thrilling to share the world with, you know, the 3.5 million species, insects, and well, there's 64 million insects in America, in the world, in the world. And then there are all of these animals and breeds and types. And humans are just one of 3 and I think 1/2 million creatures on the planet. And we're trying to destroy it. Donald Trump and his administration is not in a protective mode like the Obama administration and the Bush administration before, but in a destructive mode, which I don't think God will understand why they would do this to our environment. We're just visitors here. The question is, how long will we be here before the sun envelops us or before there's an ice age or whatever? And I don't know if that's 50,000 years or 10 million years. But in the meantime, we need to share. Let me share this final thing with you, because every week I come down here to GoLocal, and I'm thrilled that Kate and Josh give me this time to talk to people and try to share my ideas. But I'd like to get you to do something. Register to vote, you know I want you to do that. And then I want you to vote correctly. But separate from that, I was just thinking today, I'm walking along, and there are 5 trees near an institution that I got them to plant. They had sidewalk area there. It was really harsh, and I talked to them. And to my surprise, they agreed to grow trees 22 years ago. And the trees now are 20 feet tall, and they're big, and they're like, you could actually take a little folding bench or something and sit underneath them and have shade on a sunny day. About 35 years ago, I was involved in a little interchange program, and I was the cause of planting 300 trees in Israel. And on my list of things to do is go to Israel and see the 300 trees that I raised the $300 for. It was only $1 a tree. And then separately, 40 years ago, I raised money to plant 3,000 trees on Belle Isle and Island Park. Donald Trump, you should go out and plant a tree so that a rabbit can run around it. Have a good weekend.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. We'd like to thank Ray Rickman for coming in as he does each week to give us Big View. And I'd also like to welcome now my next guest, Tom Reel with the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
We're in the thick of the high summer season, but big numbers coming out from the CVB this week pertaining to the most recent fiscal year, the impact of meetings, conventions, and sporting events here in the state. $73.65 million.
That's right.
Now we see this was FY18, but as we were discussing earlier, this is something that is years in the making to bring all these conventions in and bring
That's
them back
correct.
year after year. So how many years are we talking to really lure these folks in and get them booked?
Average probably 3 to 4, actually. The process begins, as we just said, a few years out, where our sales team fans across the country looking for the appropriate customer who Providence is a great package for, our offering works for, and we pull them in typically, like I said, 3 years in advance. That layers the base of business on the books for the city, allowing hotels to reduce inventory, driving rate for that transient business that comes in a week in advance, and all of that adds up to this great economic impact for the destination.
We saw some big numbers. We saw some year-over-year numbers for hotel room rate has gone up, and then occupancy.
About $5 this year.
And then occupancy as well. Of course, as we know, all eyes are on hotel construction here. How much is the CVB salivating to see more inventory?
We're really looking forward to it. You know, the new inventory that's coming into market is inventory we've not previously had. A lot of it is extended stay hotels or designed for the long-term stay. And we've not had any of this inventory here in the market, so this is going to be great for us. We do have a significant number of guests who come into the city on Monday and stay till Thursday every week for several months on end, primarily consultant groups and folks like that. This offers them a terrific product. These hotel rooms are more of an apartment than they are just a hotel room, which adds to their comfort while here.
So adds to the mix as well. So talk a little bit about that sort of hand-to-hand combat of getting the conventions and meetings here. I have to imagine some groups say, you know, we simply like to go around the country and try a new spot each year. But then I'm sure there are those that say, you know, I really like Providence, we're coming back. I mean, what do you see the trends are? Is it really dependent on the organization?
It does. Primarily, we host a lot of national association business, and typically, associations do need to rotate across the country in order to meet in the destinations where their members live. But fortunate for us, we're in that densely populated Northeast. So having a Northeast rotation for most associations is a must. So oftentimes we'll book a convention, they'll find that this city works really well for them, and then they'll repeat maybe on an every 3 or every 4 year basis with us, which is terrific. We love them.
And so how big is the summer season going on right now, especially here in the city? You know, schools are out, but there doesn't seem to be too much of a fall off. We're still seeing a lot of folks on the street.
There's a lot of people out and about right now. In fact, we hosted a customer here earlier this week who commented on how vibrant the city was, and that was a meeting planner for the Society of Thoracic Surgeons. And based upon the liveliness of the city, all of the cranes in the air, her comment was, "There's just something going on here," and they're going to book 1,260 rooms for the year 2020 with us.
As you said, looking several years out, liking what they saw, putting the money where the mouth is. And let's talk a little bit about just the importance of the convention center itself as an anchor for what draws in these meetings and conventions.
The Rhode Island Convention Center is just our primary asset and is the core of the success of our business. This year, about 70% of the revenue that we bring in, the direct spend that occurs in the market, is associated with the convention center. I mean, let's talk about that. That's $51 million plopped down into the city as a result of having this asset in this meeting facility for our customers to utilize. That's a huge, huge win for us.
So what else are we looking for now moving forward to FY19, building on the success of those numbers for FY18? What are some of the big conventions, some of the big meetings that we're looking at in the coming year?
Coming up just within the next month, USA Gymnastics will host a national governor's body conference here, bringing about 750 people in. And as we know, USA Gymnastics has some hot topics on the table right now, so that'll be a very vibrant meeting. Coming up next week, we have the Roar Jewish community coming in, a Jewish retreat that's coming in, utilizing a couple thousand hotel rooms just next week. We have the American Academy of Physicians Assistants coming in over the course of the next month. So we have a really busy rest of the summer and fall on tap.
Yeah, those bumper seasons are really big too, the spring and the summertime.
Absolutely.
We've had Martha in here and talked about that as well. So we're looking at more hotel rooms. If you had sort of your wish list of things that, you know, as we're looking for that Providence in the entire state that you said, I wish we had this, what else could it even enhance the experience here?
I wish I had a larger convention center right now, honestly, because we have demand right now, and I think that would be a huge, huge help for us. But the additional hotel rooms coming on market excite us very, very much. And what's really nice is the hotels that are being discussed and developed really appeal to today's traveler. They're more of a boutique hotel. You know, today's traveler is looking to get out into the neighborhoods and really experience the destination, and I think that the design and concepts that are being put forward are going to pull our tourists right into our city, having them live like a local while they're here, which is exactly what we want.
Well, we do know of some boutique ones coming online as well. So looking at, again, the $73.65 million for FY18, is the pressure there to
very much so
to beat that number for the coming year?
Absolutely. We're looking, you know, year over year, we look for 5% increases each year. And you know, again though, what's really helping us is what's happening in Providence right now. I mean, we feel that our city is at a tipping point going in the right direction. And how can you not walk around downtown right now and look up at all of these cranes and see all these people on the street and not be excited about that? And our customers feel it as well. So I feel like just organically, we're going to continue to grow.
And do you have a sense, looking at numbers, you know the numbers, as we're here downtown, just behind us to the south, the ferry between Providence and Newport, do a lot of visitors use that asset? Do you see it as a mix of residents and visitors who are actually taking the ferry?
As far as I know, and I'm not intimately involved with that, I do know that our visitor center refers quite a few of our visitors, our leisure visitors or vacationers, to the ferry. But I also drive by it every day, and there's an awful lot of Rhode Island plates parked there. So I think it's a healthy mix, quite frankly. As far as the numbers riding, I'm not familiar with that number.
And let's talk a little bit about Newport and the hotel capacity there as well. I know it may be outside your purview a little bit. But do you think that we'll see more there in the coming years as well?
I do. I know Evan Smith, who is the president and CEO of Discover Newport, and I were in Los Angeles together last week, and we had lunch, and he was talking about some development that's being discussed in their city as well, right downtown as well as out where the old Highlight used to be. So they're looking at least 2 new hotels coming online. I don't know a lot about the scope or type, but I do know that it is on the drawing board.
Every place is needing more hotel areas. And outside the Providence proper, is there a demand or need for and sort of a more tertiary area for more hotels as well?
Well, you know, when we fill Providence with meetings, conventions, and sporting events, which, as you can tell, we do quite often, that's called compression, and it pushes our business traveler or our transient guests out of the city a little bit. So as rising tide floats all boats, as Providence rises in occupancy, and 74% this year is a record breaker for us, that benefits all of the surrounding towns.
Okay, well, very good. We'll provide more of those numbers again, reporting on what the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau put out for numbers for FY18. $73.65 million was the impact from conventions, meetings, sporting events, and more. Well, Tom Real, I appreciate your taking the time to come here into the studio.
Thank you, my pleasure.
We'll let you get started with your weekend, and we'll be right back here with our next guest in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Are we on? Yes. Welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News editor Kate Nagel. I'd like to welcome my next guest in, Joanne Schofield with Mentor Rhode Island. This past week, the Warwick School Committee decided to cut funding for the school-based mentoring program there, impacting 126 students.
160 kids.
160. Well, I want to thank you for coming in during this busy time here to talk about what this means, because this was really the core. This is what started the whole mentoring, Mentor RI, which it is now known as. But back in the day, this is where it all began.
It really did all begin 30 years ago in Warwick with 10 mentors and 10 students, and developing those really meaningful relationships over time makes a difference for kids because they have that caring adult and advocate in their lives. Since we started the Warwick program, we've actually been able to help replicate that in 26 other communities, and that impacts over 1,000 mentors and 1,500 kids. So it's incredible that Warwick is not just loving up this program that was the foundation for so much good, not to mention for their own kids.
And this came out of the blue. You had no idea that this was even on the cutting board. Of course, cities and towns across the state are grappling with the budgetary issues, but you had this statement out. This isn't some, as you said, something that really could be considered lightly. It's not an addition. It's really, in your research shows, a necessity.
It really is a necessity. We have so many of our kids that have been let down by adults before, and how do I go and tell 160 kids they're going to be let down again? Their mentor's not coming, the city doesn't provide the funding, whether it's through the school department or the city, it doesn't matter to us. We just know that the bottom line is about the kids. And how do we start a school year where we left them in June and said, hey, see you in September, and then we can't be there for them.
So the fight is just beginning. Are you looking to see this funding restored?
Absolutely.
And so
Yes.
you're urging, I'm sure, board members, mentoring supporters to be calling members of the school committee.
School committee and the city council. In Warwick, there's been a long history of, let's say, negotiations between the two parties. And at this point, it appears that the school district will probably end up doing what's called a Carullo Act, which means it basically goes to court to get more money from the city.
Okay.
I have no idea how that's all going to play out, but that won't play out till December or January. So if funds are restored at that point, we've been told we're on the short list for restoration, but we don't A, know if that's going to happen, and B, I feel like somebody just needs to step up and be a hero here for 160 kids.
Because, as you said, here we are, it's July 20th, school's right around the corner. The chances of having the funding from the city itself for the start of the school year is nil.
Correct.
So really looking for a community champion, a number of community champions to step forward.
The mayor, the city council, the school department, working some magic for us would be amazing. It's for the kids. I can't get over that part. When I read the email that said, we're in shock, it's zeroed out, I couldn't even process that. I was nauseous. I was like, ugh.
Now, who'd you hear it from?
Lynn Dambrook, who is the director of elementary ed in Warwick. She's, been a long-time supporter of the program. I used to mentor at her school when she was a principal, so she understands the impact on kids, and it's just shocking to me that the school committee would do such a thing, understanding that I wouldn't want to be on the school committee, and I wouldn't want to be on the city council, because I know there's a lot of difficult decisions that need to be made in the process, but to me, this is not an acceptable one.
And so talk with folks, you explain the mentoring. There's various types of mentoring programs across the state, but this is the one at the schools that gives these kids the one-on-one time with someone in the community. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves about the impact on graduation rates, on drug and alcohol use,
Yes.
and others as well. So talk a little bit about that, what it means for these students to have someone, again, who's not a parent, who's not a teacher,
Right.
who's there for them to support them and listen to them. It has a direct impact.
It absolutely does. We get statements every year from the kids, from teachers, from parents, that this program makes a difference, that the young people really respond to that caring adult. I can't tell you how many young people are totally deprived of that type of relationship. Nationally, they say 1 in 3 young people don't recognize anybody as being a mentor in their life. For the kids that are already underserved, they're probably all of those ones, right? So these are kids that very often, have things going on either at home, don't feel engaged in school, and the mentors make the difference where they want to come to school, they want to do well, and they really help them to believe in themselves. And it's, as I love to say, there's great conversations that can happen over a game of Uno, right? Because kids get to let their defenses down, relax, and really enjoy building that caring relationship with an adult that really cares about them.
And do you think that the school committee in Warwick is cognizant of the laws of unintended consequences for this cut? Students might then now have behavioral issues, might have attendance issues.
I think that there was no thought of that, Kate, in all honesty. We have professionals from the business community coming into our schools. We have retired volunteers coming into our schools. And we're basically saying that what they offer is not of value. And we're also saying that our kids are not as important as they should be. We know that many times those mentors kind of run in for interference, and they help kids with behavior issues, and they help kids navigate certain things, or might reach out to a guidance counselor and those kinds of things. So our mentors actually in many ways are an additional support that is otherwise just so stretched at the school level. And it's really a very inexpensive way to offer that support to young people.
So again, twofold, urging folks to contact elected officials in the city of Warwick.
Yes, please.
And the website mentorri.org.
Yes, and we probably should have those numbers posted up right there, shouldn't we? So that'll be something that we'll be doing very soon. But to really look at the scope of our work and know that we really practice high quality mentoring. There's something called the Elements of Effective Practice. We teach that to other programs as well and help to support other programs throughout the state. So the fact that literally the foundation of our house crumbled or was taken out from under us on Wednesday morning when we learned the news. It's just unfathomable. Unfathomable. I can't say that word, Kate. It's really bad.
I'm sure you said it enough this week that you can't even utter it one more time.
Right.
Again, along with urging elected officials in the city of Warwick, you again are extending that plea to the community as well, because again, we're looking at September with the program just being cut. Again, these 160
Yes.
students in Warwick who are used to going, seeing a mentor once a week, who will now not have that opportunity this year at this current point.
Yes.
There are opportunities for people to step up and make an impact, and that's why we're here today to talk about
We
this.
are, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate your coming in. Again, the piece was up on GoLocal about this cut by the Warwick School Committee, but of course we're going to feature this, and again, more information on Mentor RI and what you can do, especially in the city of Warwick, to see this program restored. Joanne Schofield, I appreciate your taking the time to come up here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our next guest here in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News editor Kate Nagel. I'd like to welcome my next guest in, Chris Cook with Unite here at Local 26. Thank you for joining us today.
Yep, thank you.
Before this evening, folks are going to be in front of the Omni for an informational picket pertaining to contract negotiations with the hotel here in Providence that you've been at with now for decades.
Yes, I've been there 20 years.
And as we've talked before, I said this is not your first rodeo. There's constantly labor management strife and negotiations. And talk with us about this year in particular, why this action is being taken this evening.
So, you know, my coworkers and I feel that one job should be enough to take care of our families, to be able to spend time with our families, not have to work 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. So that's why that's where we're at there.
Okay, so you're looking wages, benefits. Do you think management is amenable? You've had actions before. Are they effective?
Well, we're going to keep doing actions until we get what we need to support our families. So we're going to fight to the end.
And is it specifically wages? Is it benefits? Is it hours? Is it vacation? Is it healthcare? You know, is it the combination of all of those factors?
It's the combination. Like I said, one job should be enough to support our families. I want to send my son to college one day. It's very expensive, as you know. Prices rise on everything from soup to nuts. You go to the gas station, more money. Supermarket, more money. So we need our wages and our benefits and everything need to rise with that.
And so you've seen the disconnect between, again, what the cost of living is versus what you're seeing at the Omni. And so you talk about workers not having, or the goal is not to be working multiple jobs. How many of your colleagues are working multiple jobs?
Well, there's many people that do that. There's some people that can't afford to have the health insurance, so they go without seeing doctors. Their families go without seeing doctors. So that isn't right, and we should have more. We should be able to get more.
How many folks do you expect to turn out this evening?
You know, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. I'm hoping a lot.
And again, this is really to put the pressure on management. Where are you with the contract? Are you working with one? Is it one coming up shortly? Where in the time frame are you in the actual contract?
So our contract has already expired,
Okay.
and we started negotiating in May. So that's where we are right now.
Do you think right now labor is feeling a little bolstered? We see the nurses saying enough with UNAP over with Lifespan saying that they're in fact striking. Do you think labor is surging and really as we stand here in July 2018, not just here in Providence but across the country?
I think so, yes. You see it all over with the teachers all over the country. A couple of months ago you saw a lot of activity, and especially in the hotel industry with Unite Here. It's always on the go and it's getting more and more. So yes, I agree with that.
And do you think Unite Here Local 26, you guys are probably one of even the more active ones here in the state. Again, you've been here with Omni for 20 years. How many times have you done the informational picket?
Wow.
Too many to count.
Too many to count. Too many to count.
Do you think it does a good job? Does it raise that awareness? Do you hear from folks in the community that say, I saw the press, I heard about this? Is it really for not just management, but others in Rhode Island to know about what this fight's all about?
Well, look, I think people already know what the fight's about because they feel it in their pocket, and they have to work 2 jobs, and everything's going up, and they can't afford it, right? So I think everyone would agree, right? They're in the struggle. They need more money to keep up with the rising cost of everything. I think they get it.
Okay, and Unite Here Local 26, about 200 workers represented? Is that
Yes.
around the...
Yes.
Well, we'll take a look and see. Again, it's taking place this evening, so if you're downtown in Providence, the weekend might be starting for some, but for others who work around the clock at the Omni, they are going to be taking part in this informational picket this evening. Wanted to get someone in from local Unite Here Local 26 to talk a little bit about this with us. Anything else you want folks to know about this effort to really raise awareness and again impact change for the workers?
Oh, I just want to say that I'm on the executive board. I've talked to a lot of our members all across the state and all over Boston, and I will tell you that we're ready to fight till the end. We have to support our families. We need better health insurance and better wages and all that, so we're ready to fight.
Okay, fight to the end. And again, if you see them out in downtown Providence, this is what's taking place this evening here between Unite Here Local 26 with the informational picket outside of the Omni here in Providence. Chris Cook, I appreciate you taking the time. As I said, the calm before the storm.
Yep.
This evening will be very busy, so I appreciate you taking the time to come
Thank
into
you
the
very
Navigant
much.
Credit Union
Appreciate it.
Broadcast Center. We'll be right back here. Don't go anywhere. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us for the noontime show today, getting you ready for the weekend early, and it's looking like a gorgeous Friday afternoon. I want to thank former state representative, former deputy secretary of state, now with Stages of Freedom, Ray Rickman, for coming in to give his big view. Tom Reel with the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau. They put out some numbers this past week about the impact of meetings, conventions, and sporting events here in the state of Rhode Island. $73.65 million for fiscal year 18 gave us a little bit of an overview of that success and what they're looking at moving forward. Joanne Schofield with Mentor Rhode Island in after the development just this week, the Warwick School Committee zeroing out a $100,000 line item for mentoring in the schools impacting 160 students. Now, Joanne spoke about looking to combat that both with the school committee and the city of Warwick, but also appealing to the community for the impact that mentoring has on these youth. Chris Cook with Unite Here Local 26. There will be an informational picket this evening outside the Omni. He's been with the hotel for 20 years. He said that they've had these before, but continuing to fight the fight, he says, for wages, health care, to enable workers not to have to work multiple jobs. So if you see them out this evening, That's what's taking place. We appreciate your tuning in. We appreciate your feedback. We look forward to seeing you back here. But in the meantime, over the weekend, golocalprov.com, and you can check us out on Facebook. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel.